find this interesting. Some of you might go, think of it as a concession, or it's not a concession, or whatever. But anyway, here's the thing. I'm for civil rights. I've said this all along. And I'm for men's rights. That there shouldn't be bias against men getting custody and stuff. I've said, I acknowledge those issues, and I think we're making progress on them. Okay. And I also think some of them, like gender identity, politics, I think feminism's probably done more for that than any men's rights groups. But here's the thing. So Stephanie Nicholas made a video about Warren Farrell. And then I went and watched the video on Warren Farrell. Now, it was making me think of some interesting things. Now, the point he makes a lot of the time is that, well, men have it just as bad. Like, men are more likely to be accosted by, killed and accosted. Okay. That's an interesting point, because I don't think the issue with this particular kind of bias is that it's a whole underclass, that all women are put in a class under men. They're just put under class under the men around them. So the numbers come out pretty even. But he does point out some interesting things, which are true, and we should be talking about them. 90% of men or plus, or whatever the number is, plus or minus 10%, that die on the job. Men. And some statistics we are told just in general are just misleading. There might be a grain of truth or whatever, but they lead us wrong enough to make us have a misconception and buy some stupid framework, some stupid metaphor for everything. So anyway, the way I see it is, it is an interesting point. I don't think the oppression of women has ended up with women being totally below men. It's not oil and water, and one goes to the top, one goes to the bottom. It's not like racism. It's in interpersonal relationships. Mm-hmm. Like, when it was, it's never really been acceptable to, as far as I know, to, like, beat the hell out of your wife in America. Really bad. And I was just thinking, it's funny you even say that, because it has been many places. And among a certain family or certain, it's hard to say what's ever been, But mostly it's not that was okay. But just like you might have to spank a child, that kind of thing has been acceptable. Toleration for it. Now, that doesn't make all women weaker. That doesn't make a rich woman, just because she gets hit by her husband, weaker than a poor woman that gets hit by her husband. And likely the rich woman is less likely to have that kind of pressure. It'll be some other sort of a thing. He controls her property. He can pull the strings. So, I guess it's true. There's been a sob story in feminism in some parts as if it's like racism. We think in metaphor and analogy, as if they're all under people. It's not quite like that. It's not like when you take the statistics over the society, you see the problem is directly. A lot of the time, the differences in statistics are because of different roles, each with their pluses and minuses. But feminist issues have more to do with, when men and women are interacting on an interpersonal basis, and who the benefit of the doubt goes to, what kind of things people can get away with on both sides. I'd frankly rather talk about that as an issue, gender equality, in terms of research and medical issues. And, what are the practical issues, personally? So I could see why, in the video she linked to were people that were annoying, that were protesting it. And, I was liberal in college, but when all the other liberals and progressives and radicals and whatever tried to block people from going into the interviews, how they schedule interviews, everybody on campus, the FBI was there. I'm like, this is not how the protest should go, where you actually stop someone else's free passage and stuff to go do stuff like this. Now, there is an argument to no, we're trying to stop it, but I just thought it was a little bit self-indulgent. And these protesters of Warren Farrell seem that way. On the other hand, Warren Farrell, I mean, it's not like, it's like there's radical feminists and radical men right activists are balancing them, sprouting up to balancing them. And they would like to pretend and dominate that they are the conversation, that they understand the conversation. It's really about some people want to kill all men and some people want to rape all women. And that's stupid, right? So they're trying to take over the conversation from 80, 90% of the people who just realize that, oh, you know, everybody needs rights. You do it one at a time. If it's like women are getting beat at home, yes, but men are getting beat at work. Well, you know, the solution, unfortunately, isn't just, well, nobody should beat anybody else. It's to go one at a time and go, oh, you're getting beat at work? Employees' rights. Oh, you're getting beat at home? Okay. Spousal rights. Oh, you have to go one at a time, and it takes this kind of specialization, sadly, and prioritization, which is one of the hardest parts. Cheers.